This is Allegedly in Alberta, powered by Streamlabs Talk Studio with the Alberta Indigenous Alliance.
Good evening and welcome to Allegedly in Alberta. I'm Darrin Thompson on Treaty 6. And first of all, we want to send our love and strength to our co-host and brother, NJ, who is currently in Edmonton joining the amazing group that are in the search for Samuel Bird. Again, if you have any information on Samuel Bird, contact the Edmonton City Police at 780-423-4567, EPS file 250-466-067, and please keep Samuel and his mother Alana in your prayers and hope for the searchers to bring Samuel home. Again, this is Allegedly in Alberta, and we want to show the tonight is about brainwashing and MAGA media manipulation. And it looks like we're having some tech issues here, so we'll just take off the virtual background, and hopefully that helps matters here. And yeah, it's been a very difficult, almost a week since a number of horrible incidents happened in the United States, including the assassination of conservative media personality, activist, whatever they want to call him, Charlie Kirk, and the people that ended up losing their lives in the school shooting, and of course, all the individuals that have lost their lives are struggling. Again, our thoughts, our strength, sending you all that. Gotta love technology when it doesn't want to work for you. And there we go. Okay, so we've got everything somewhat up there. So again, like, subscribe, the stuff up top there. Merchandise available at avpoly.ca. We've got some great merch for the Albertans United Against Censorship, the Alberta Indigenous Alliance, and we'll have some new merch for our sister from another Mr. Angry Indigenous Woman. We've worked out a great design. We'll have that available in red tees and hoodies, black tees and hoodies, and a coffee mug. And just check out the website, avpoly.ca, tomorrow for the launch of the first, hopefully, of many collabs with Angry Indigenous Woman. And yeah, it should be some, I mean, it's good quality merch. Great design, very proud of it to collab with them, and yeah, it's going to be something that we can do and enjoy. Again, we are, yeah, it's just been a rough one. I don't blame any of you for not feeling secure, not feeling like yourselves. It's just been shot after shot and difficulty after difficulty in the media and elsewhere. And yeah, and again, like we said, it started with the Charlie Kirk assassination. It continued with vigils across the board. But and we will show you some of the individuals. They're saying they're standing against left-wing terror. I don't agree with the left-wing terror description. I think that's another one of those dog whistles that is used. But again, we have to come from some sort of aspect to meet. And hopefully people understand that it's not the left, it's not the right, it's the elitists and the politicians that are keeping us back and forth. But yeah, I just don't understand how we got to this point. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Have the message coming from Morgan Wallen. So that was the message to Erica Kirk from Morgan Wallen, night one in Edmonton. The number that we saw was almost 116,000 people took in Morgan Wallen on nights 1 and night 2 in Edmonton. And while that was happening on night 1 in Edmonton, this was happening in Calgary. So can anyone explain to me how 116,000 people took in Morgan Wallen in Edmonton over the last 2 days on Friday and Saturday, and say another 10 to 13,000 people took in Keith Urban in Calgary at Saddledome? So out of those almost 125,000 people, there was no violence, there was no massive fights, there was no asking to see someone's private parts to prove that they're a woman. There's no discussion on what political party you belong to. There was no vitriol when Morgan Wallen did the tribute to and prayers to Charlie Kirk's widow. Keith Urban singing Pink Pony Club, a song from a member of the Alphabet Mafia, describing the experiences of someone from the Alphabet Mafia. All this happened in conservative, stoic Alberta, where we're sitting here going, well, we can't have that. We can't talk about trans, can't talk about these sort of things. I hate you, you hate me. We all need to hate each other. Well, for 3 hours on Friday night, almost 70,000 people put those feelings aside and watched and enjoyed live music and live entertainment. This wasn't about politics. This wasn't about right versus left. This was about coming together as a community and coming together with a common interest. It's music. Same can be said when you go to an Oiler game or a Flames game or an Elk game or a Stamps game. You're looking at tens of thousands of people together, all for one purpose, to come together and enjoy a night out and enjoy being entertained. So if that many people can come together and put their differences aside, why the hell can we not put our differences aside, just dealing with each other in a civil manner in this province? Why is it left versus right? Well, we'll tell you. A lot of it is MAGA driven. So when your driving force from the United States right now is MAGA, and we've got our own MAGA here in Alberta, which is the Make Alberta Great again sort of group. Some say separatist, some say nationalist. So there's those people on that side. And not that I agree with them or whatever, but that's your choice. And if it doesn't affect me, have your choice. It's like people say that people from the left want cancel culture. They want this. They want to stop religion. They want to do this. So not from the left, because I'm even further past the left. So I don't like being called a leftist, because I think leftist is too center and whatever. Anyway, so people like me who live a life with solidarity, with integrity, and stand up for Indigenous peoples and people of the Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities, and people of the Alphabet Mafia, I would like to tell you that your religion doesn't bother me. Whatever religion you want, if it's Christianity, if it is Buddhism, is it whatever you want. Right here in Alberta, it's mostly Christianity, and it's mostly white Christianity, and got a very connected piece to that Christian nationalism aspect, where it's country before, or state or province, whatever you want to say, before your citizens. Being a nationalist, you're proud to be Albertan. That's fine to be proud to be Albertan. Fine to be proud to be Canadian. Proud to be American. But that shouldn't be your identity. Your identity shouldn't be where you come from or where you're currently living. Your identity should be based on, if it's Christianity, the whole concept of Christianity is live like Christ did, or how Christ would want you to, and that is be like Christ. So when you're looking at those sort of aspects, Jesus Christ would not be supporting capitalism. Let's tell you straight up. That's just not something that Jesus and the teachings of the Bible would say, let's promote capitalism. Let's promote getting more profits for the elite. No, that's not part of the Christian teachings. So whatever Christian teachings you're utilizing, That's fine. You want to go to church, you want to do whatever you want to do, you do you. And I have no problem if you want to say, hey, can we pray in schools? Sure. If you want, I went to a public school in Saskatchewan. We did the Lord's Prayer every morning. Whatever you want to do. But it can't be forced. That's the piece, right? That's the piece that people are so pushing back on. It's not the fact that they dislike your religion or dislike your beliefs. It's they dislike being forced to embrace your beliefs, because your beliefs are the only ones that matter. Which, guess what? If we're talking about rights and freedoms, you're directly affecting and directly going against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms by forcing your religion on youth and people in general. So, do I agree with Charlie Kirk should have got vigils throughout? No, don't. I don't believe that what that person did in their life should be celebrated. But if you want to celebrate the fact that he's something to you and you want to mourn the loss of him for the fact that his wife no longer has a husband or a father to their children, that's a different conversation. But right now, what we're seeing is a dangerous, dangerous message coming through. That if you don't believe that we should almost worship what Charlie Kirk did, then you should lose your job. You're speaking ill of the dead. You're speaking terrible things about this man who gave everything to the conservative movement. I mean, we started this off as Brainwashed. His whole tour last year in the colleges was called the Brainwash Tour. He spent time in colleges reaching the youth to promote propaganda for what has become the MAGA movement and Project 2025. That's what he is. That's what he was. Death doesn't change what you were before you die. How you lived your life, that is how people should see you. You shouldn't get an absolute pass saying don't look at him as what he did. Oh, his words were taken out of context. There's so many different variables and so many different clips or speeches or his visits, tour videos, all these sort of things that show what he promoted. And if his wife wants to continue promoting that, that's her choice, but that should not be what we inundate ourselves with. And again, when we say violence is not the solution, but it's often the answer, every war, every major conflict in history was solved by negotiation and documents and treaties. I'm not saying all treaties are fair or whatever, but ceasefires, any of these sort of things were all done based on coming together at the table and signing, making the decision what's better for our citizens. Not how strong is our country, it's how strong are our citizens in the country, because we wouldn't have a country if we didn't have our citizens. So if you want to say, I'm a bastard because I didn't go to a vigil on Charlie Kirk, and I'm not joining the group of people to give him a standing ovation like the Parliament did. That's your prerogative. Like you say, people say that it's my right to stand up. He fought for the rights of all of us. Well, if he fought for the rights of all of us for free speech, then I have the freedom to speak the way I want to, as long as I'm not hurting anyone else. That's the key to free speech. See, when you're using your free speech to promote hate and provoke violence, then you have consequences. And even though the current administration in the United States isn't upholding those consequences, at some point, you're going to have to pay the piper. But my biggest issue with the Charlie Kirk vigils, and I'll show you, have no problem sharing some of the stuff that has happened or whatever, is the response from people is a different response from someone else who lost their lives. Hold on. So, Sheila Gunn, Rebel News, I usually don't agree with them. And again, like I said, you want to cover this, whatever, but there's a lot of sensationalizing here. Civil rights icon. Sorry, when I'm talking about civil rights, when we're talking about civil rights and the whole civil rights movement, the icons are different. The icons are people like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, JFK. Those are your icons that stood up for people's rights. The rights that Charlie Kirk is standing up for, that's not civil rights. That's selective rights. And again, we go back to the fact that radical left-winged terrorists, just because someone is not on the right does not mean they're a terrorist. Just because someone's on the right doesn't necessarily mean they're a terrorist. But this is the sensationalizing. This is the media manipulation from Rebel News. Notorious for doing this. Let you keep listening to this, and I'll just pop in, because there's nothing proven about him being trans. There's information that's been out there that he had a boyfriend, which they're both males. I don't know who's trans. I think he was born male. I don't know. I'm not a person who's going to check pants. There's just a lot of information that's being really utilized to fire up people. And this isn't what society needs right now. Society needs to go back to 60-odd thousand people enjoying Morgan Wallen, 13 to 15,000 people enjoying Keith Urban. That's what society needs to come back to. Sheila Gunn is not what society needs right now. And if Sheila actually cared about civil rights, she wouldn't continue to fire up the base. Okay, that very, very, very confused. I'll just leave it at that. A lot of people going to the same. Sheila went to the same people multiple times, got similar clips. We have an Indigenous woman who didn't know who Charlie Kirk was, and then starts to watch his videos and has decided that he's going to be what gives her strength. So all these people that talk about Christianity and talk about we want to have a come together, we want to be together as a community. Number one, how many of these people have stood up for Samuel Byrd? Has Samuel Byrd gotten the same response? I mean, Samuel is a young 14-year-old boy who is missing. Do we have all these people that believe in Jesus Christ and Christianity and conservatism? So why are you there for a vigil for Charlie Kirk, who you've never met, who's not from Canada, who's not from Alberta? Yes, he spoke the same words that those on the right and those that want to make Alberta great again. He shared the same vision as them. But that's not all Albertans. So when you have people like that woman coming out and saying how she's so proud of Charlie Kirk, I get concerned. And why at this point would I be concerned? And we talk about the media manipulation, right? It's not just for MAGA. So in exactly 1 year from tomorrow will be the anniversary of the death of an unarmed man who was punched, tackled by officers, and ended dead on the floor of the Carriage House Hotel and Conference Center on McLeod Trail in Calgary just before 1 a.m. on September 17th, 2024. You see, Calgary police tackled, punched, deployed various uses of force on an unarmed man who died in police altercation earlier this month, the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team said Wednesday. And this was an article from the 25th, so 8 days after the death of Jon Wells. ACERT come out with an article describing the details. So they say police were responding to an investigation and officers' use of force in the incident, which happened after police were called via a non-emergency line to the Carriage House Hotel and Conference Center on McLeod Trail just before 1 a.m. They were responding to reports of a man causing a disturbance and refusing to leave the hotel. On Wednesday before the 25th, ACERT said the interaction between the man and the first officer at the hotel was caught on body-worn camera. The man was standing with his hands in full view and without any weapons when the officer arrived and ordered the man to leave, ACERT said. The officer then pointed a stun gun at the man after 30 seconds of speaking with him, while the man reacted in confused ways to the order to leave. ACERT reported that the man raised his hands and confirmed he would leave, asking the officer not to shoot him. And while he began to leave the lobby, he told the officer, "I don't want to die." The officer with his weapon still pointed at the man told him to stop talking. So you have an individual who's currently in distress telling the officer, "I don't want to die." See something wrong with this? It goes on. After two more Calgary Police Service officers arrived on the scene, the man stopped walking while continuing to state he didn't want to die. The first officer holstered his weapon and attempted to grab him. ACERT noted by this point the man had not been identified by police or told he was detained or under arrest. So you have an individual who is being accosted by police, who's not being detained or under arrest, but is being held at taser point, who's currently in distress, and the police officer thinks it's a good idea to point a taser at him. The man resisted being grabbed before he was tackled by another officer, who punched him in the head. ACERT said, during this time, the other two officers deployed their stun guns. Officers resorted to various uses of force during a physical struggle that lasted approximately 3.5 minutes, Acert said, before the man was detained on the floor using handcuffs and leg restraints. So we go from I don't want to die, and the officer putting back his stun gun, to 2 more officers coming in and escalating the process, tackling him down, punching him in the head, handcuffing him, and leg restraints, to a man who's in medical and mental distress. Numerous other CPS officers then arrived on the scene. So 3 people couldn't take this guy and bring him in peacefully. Like we're told that the police officers are peace officers, but these individuals, 3 of them, couldn't take this individual into custody peacefully, even though they still didn't say he was arrested or detained. So this poor man, who we find out is Jon Wells, is beaten to the ground, tackled to the ground, and then basically hogtied on the ground. So the new officers, adding that the man was bleeding from the mouth and vomiting at this point. A spit mask was put on the man, and EMS administered a sedative while he was laying face down on the floor approximately 7 minutes after he'd been handcuffed. The man was left face down in restraints for another 3 minutes before he was noticed to be unresponsive. Acert said medical care is provided, but he was declared dead at the scene. CBC News confirmed the man who died with Calgary police altercation was Jon Wells, 42-year-old of the Blood Tribe in Alberta. Wells was a successful rodeo competitor and actively contributed to his community in his work with the Blood Tribe Ag Society. Wells was at least the 7th Indigenous person to die after a police altercation in Canada in less than 3 weeks, from August 29th to September 17th. In Alberta alone, Wells' death follows an incident where Haas Lightning, 15 years old, from the Samson Cree Nation, was shot by RCMP in Wetaskiwin at the end of August. Acert Executive Director Michael Ewenson says, body cameras worn by Calgary police officers at the scene led to Acert releasing more details about the investigation just a little more than a week after it occurred. Due to the presence of body-worn cameras worn by the Calgary Police Service, we are able to verify facts much earlier in an investigation, Ewenson said via email. In numerous cases, this has led us to be able to clear officers more efficiently. There you are, folks. That is the goal of Acert, is to clear the officers of any wrongdoing efficiently. You go through Acert's files from October of 2024 to September 2025, there is no resolution in this case. There's been no final investigation by Acert. We just have one dead Indigenous man in the Carriage House Hotel, laying on the ground, bled and puked to death, laying on the ground, dying while being handcuffed and leg restrained, and officers not noticing until he looked like he was unresponsive due to the sedation that they gave him. There's animals that are treated better than this individual. When animals are sedated in a veterinary clinic, they're watched more closely than Jon Wells was that night. Police Watchdog, which investigates whenever someone dies during a police interaction in Alberta, said no additional information about the case will be released as the agency conducts its probe. And again, like I said, the probe continues. Tomorrow will be 1 year exactly. So at 1 a.m. later tonight, which is tomorrow, it'll be 1 year exactly that Jon Wells died from police brutality and negligence in the Carriage House Hotel. And yes, it is the same Carriage House Hotel that the Alberta Resistance used for their first meeting. So, I don't know about you, but while everyone is doing vigils for Charlie fucking Kirk, how many people showed up to give their thoughts and prayers and their great Christian values to Jon Wells, who lost his life due to an incompetence of the Calgary Police Service? So even though there was a great turnout to honor Jon Wells in that honoring them and walking in support a year ago, I didn't see all the Christians that were at Charlie Kirk, the vigils of Charlie Kirk, talking about an American Christian. So why, if you're talking about we shouldn't have death, that violence is not, it's such a tragedy that someone died violently, why the fuck are you not supporting the Indigenous people that are dying violently on a daily fucking basis? So if you're Christian and you believe in the safety of citizens and the rights of every citizen, other than racism and bigotry, give me one good fucking reason why you ignore the deaths of Indigenous people. You can talk about Charlie Kirk till you fucking blue in the face. But unless you come out and show the same goddamn respect for Jon Wells and other Indigenous peoples that have lost their lives due to police brutality or murder, your words mean nothing. Your words are hollow. Their values are hollow. So don't give me any of this shit about we have to support Charlie Kirk because he was a great man. I don't fucking care. Jon Wells was a great man. Where the fuck are the flowers for Jon Wells? Where the fuck is the support for Samuel Byrd? No, you want to talk about an American. You want to talk about a fucking American hero to the right. Well, you have the right to talk about it, but I have the right to not fucking listen. And I have the right to not fucking support you. Because that's my right and freedom. And that's the right and freedom of every fucking person in this province, in this country, in the fucking world. You are not going to bully people to support a known white supremacist. You're not going to bully people to support the MAGA fucking movement. Your bullshit and your threats and your anger and your fucking cancel culture that you fucking cry about when it's given to you in consequence culture, that time is fucking up now. Enough is enough. We're not going to listen to your rhetoric anymore. And this doesn't just mean the fucking from the right. This also means from the center. I don't give a shit what you think about you being a Democrat, you being an NDP, you being whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Every politician is garbage. Party politics are performative and as useful as thoughts and prayers. You have the right to say, go whatever you want to say. I don't care. But you do not have the right to push your fucking agenda on society because that's what you believe. That is the absolute definition of not giving someone their rights. So you all yell, scream, complain, whine, bitch, moan about rights and freedoms. You want to go rights and freedoms? We have the right to not listen to whatever the fuck you have to say. Just like you have the right to not listen to what I have to say. That's called your right. But I have the right to free speech where I can use the speech if it's not affecting someone's livelihood, if it's not directly hurting someone. I have the right to say what I want. That's the freedom of speech. You have the right to say whatever you want, but know that there's consequences for your speech if your speech is coming from hate. So freedom of speech and freedom of hate speech are two different things. And that's where we're sitting right now. So when you're talking about the vigils for Charlie fucking Kirk and how we all have to come together Look what's going on in your own communities first. If you want to come in and be like Jesus, Jesus would never support capitalism, like I said earlier. Jesus would look at you and say, why the fuck are you not flipping tables? Because that's what Jesus did. When Jesus saw something that wasn't right or something that was not fair, he went into the halls. He went into the merchant tables and he flipped the fuckers and said, this is not going to happen. You're not going to rob anyone. So someone's saying everyone's got this so wrong and has nothing to do with hate speech. So, state of Alberta, tell me, what does it have to do? Nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Okay. So tell me, what is it what am I missing here? What is being missed in what you want to share? So if Charlie Kirk isn't the reason for any of this, what is? Well, state of Alberta is giving the response. Okay. I see your point, but what are they looking at with future legal liability? Liability on what? Okay, so it says, in the future, a student carries out an assault on someone on campus. Okay, I'm with you so far. So we're talking about the right to bear arms in the United States. Is this correct? Or the liability for schools? Oh, and it looks like you've got you've got a point here. State of Alberta, if you've got a webcam and microphone, use your phone or whatever, I would have no problem having this conversation, having you join us online. Click the link, follow it up, and we can continue the conversation, and we'll give you the platform. No, I don't want you to promote my stream to a Kik community to help me get 3,000 followers or anything like that. Don't care about those sort of things. We're having uncomfortable conversations, and it's not about followers. It's about getting the message out. Well, speaking the truth, we're not sugarcoating anything. And like we're saying, this isn't just a argument on against the right. I mean, the aspect of the right that with the religious, forcing the religious things into So we're talking about legal liability fears. I understand that completely. Now, my whole thing is that we're sitting here going, there's no liability for our current government, be it federal, be it provincial. I mean, here provincially is what's directly affecting us, directly affecting me. I don't know if it's affecting you or what, but the decisions by Danielle Smith and the UCP government are horrible. They might not be affecting everyone at this moment, but they will affect everyone eventually. Like, it's, if you're not part of the elite, you're going to be left in the dark. You're going to be left to die, basically. And I'm at a point where it's not about voting. Like, when we're sitting here going, oh, we're not saying they're going, but other people are saying, oh, just have to vote in. Let's just put progressive behind conservative and make the Alberta Party progressive conservative. What does that get us? Is it going to be different? I don't know. Is the NDP going to be different? Sure as hell weren't when they were in. So when someone's arguing, so I'm getting a lot of pushback here, especially from individuals in the Alberta independence movement that are telling me that it's a liberal or an NDP argument about capitalism. What you need to understand is capitalism needs to exploit people to work. Capitalism only works in the long term till it eats itself and dies, is for those that are living off of profits. So they have to exploit labor to get more profits. So when we're looking at a job market in Alberta right now, as an example, we've got the second worst unemployment rate in the country. But we have no system with the UCP in place to help people get employment. Because what I see is people that are, when they're unemployed, they go and find a job with the UCP. They sell out their morals or whatever, and then they just go and repeat the talking points of Danielle Smith and the rest of the UCP. For me, the UCP haven't shown me anything that's going to do anything good for us. For me, since 2019, under Jason Kenney and now Danielle Smith, the UCP are showing me that they want to privatize everything. Okay. Capitalism is the least worst of all the flawed choices. Okay, but that's if you're only looking at how like when Churchill was around, what were the other, feudalism was the other option at that time. So I'm going to use the term socialism, and it's going to scare everyone or get everyone to get all pissed off. And people get mad and go, oh, you're a socialist or whatever. I'm not a socialist, I'm an idealist. And what I see is we already have socialism, but what we have right now is corporate socialism. So when XYZ oil company or XYZ bank or any of these companies that, like Air Canada, who won't pay their employees a valued wage. They won't pay their employees for work that they're doing. They have to work for free. Every time Air Canada got into financial trouble, they got bailed out. What's a bailout? Bailout is socialism. That is government funds provided to a corporation or to an entity to support them. So why is everyone okay with corporate socialism, but aren't okay with trying to find a system that will actually take care of everyone? If it doesn't affect you directly, and we can help raise the way of life for everyone, why wouldn't we do that? There's that whole thing of, oh, we want profits, we want profits. Well, you want consumerism. Well, the only way you have consumerism in capitalism is if you have consumers. If you have consumers, then they can buy things. But if consumers have no money, then you have no consumers because they can't buy anything. So gouging everyone for every dime and yes, to call it crony capitalism, it's not capitalism. Exactly. And that's the thing. So my argument here is, so here in Alberta, we get this whole thing of, well, Daniel Smith is great, and the Libs are bad, Trudeau's bad, Carney's bad. Don't get me wrong. I agree. Carney is not good. Even though I made the choice to join the Liberal Party to vote him in as the leader, he has not done great things for the country. And yes, the government corporate mergers, it's the monopoly. It's like so if you're going to do something good for the country, number one, the first thing you do is you go to the grocery chains and you force them to stop gouging us. Like, how are you justifying food being tariffed when it's food that's here? Like, I use the example of coffee creamer. And because I'm in Lacombe, Central Alberta, we don't have vast choices. We have Loblaws, which is the no frills. We have Co-op, and we have Sobeys. Those are three grocery stores that we have. Every one of them is owned by a corporation. Even the Co-op is one of those things. And it's my pleasure to thank you for having a conversation. I appreciate that as well. This isn't about, like I said, that we're getting too caught up in the semantics and the thing of, okay, Charlie Kirk was murdered and assassinated. I don't dispute that. Now, what I dispute is what their government and the FBI are saying, who did it and what not. I can't see a 21-year-old college student pulling off something that strategic and that pinpoint. Like, we're talking one shot. And you can say conspiracy theory or whatever. Like, there's assassins that are hired that they go into to do the documentaries and whatever, and talking about how much effort it takes and have to slow down their breathing and slow down their heart rate and all that stuff. I just use the example of the biathlon. So if you're watching the Winter Olympics, which is coming up, everyone watch hockey, but if you watch the biathlon, when the athletes are done skiing, they have to lower their body, their heart rate. They have to control their breathing so they can hit the targets, and it has to be pinpoint for them to be, or they take a penalty and whatever. But these are marksmen. These are markswomen. They're people that have like decades, lifetime of training. I don't care how much time this young man went and spent with his grandpa and his dad and anyone else with a rifle, there's no way in hell could you go from 200 plus yards as an amateur, control your breathing that much, take any wind into effect, because the distance you're going to have to take the wind into effect to be able to hit your target, which was the neck of Charlie Kirk, to make it a kill shot. There's no way an amateur could have done that. So that's where I dispute this. And this is where I have the issue with the celebrating Charlie Kirk, because as soon as Charlie Kirk was murdered and assassinated, he became a martyr. And it's not necessarily a martyr for good. It's a martyr for distraction. Like, if someone explained to me how Charlie Kirk, if he's just a podcaster or he's a civil rights whatever, how did he get to be on Air Force Two? Sure, he's friends with the vice president. I don't think every friend of the vice president would get to ride on Air Force Two and have the actual government do this. Something is really, all these things are just tying up, like the information there about the note to his boyfriend. There's things are just, the loose ends are just tying up too tightly, too quickly. It's like the individual that was the alleged assassination attempt on 47 before he became president. It just seems really, like I said, when you have marksmen, you have like ballistics experts and going, I don't know how you'd be able to take that. Like, that's a perfect shot. That's like the percentages are very, very low that you would do that. And one shot. It's not like it was bang, bang. Oh, I missed with one. Oh, I'll try with the second. It was just one. It was one shot. So it was something that was pinpoint. So if you can be that accurate as an amateur, where the hell did you get your training? Like, nothing's come out that this young man has been through the military, has been part of the CIA, has been under Black Ops, nothing. He was just a guy who had conservative parents who were more MAGA. He was a Seventh-day Adventist, Mormon. That's all we know about them. Like, the information that keeps coming out about this alleged shooter just keeps tying him cleanly to this. It doesn't make sense to me. But what does make sense to me is the fact that they're using Charlie Kirk's death as the smokescreen. Because what didn't get talked about all last week after Charlie Kirk was murdered? The fact that the Republicans voted no to releasing the Epstein files and blocked it. The fact that Russia attacked Poland. The fact that there was a basically turmoil in Asia. The fact that a president was put in prison for a coup in South America. Those aren't talked about. Mainstream media is not doing anything about that. They're just covering the Kirk murder. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he was not assassinated, because he sure as hell was. But the question is, was he assassinated by that individual who they have under custody? I can't, again, like you said, I've had the mistake, well, say the misguidance, I guess, in the past, like, of wishing ill will on the enemy. So like a sports team or whatever, and I feel bad about that. I never wish anyone to die. It doesn't matter how much I dislike someone. I'm not wishing death on someone. You don't wish someone to be murdered in cold blood. Like, that's not right. That's not the way we do things. That's not the way society should be. And I go back to the original point when over 114,000 people in 2 days enjoyed Morgan Wallen and their opening acts, and 10 to 15,000 people enjoyed Keith Urban in Calgary. We had no shootings. We had no major arguments. There was no, oh, you're not right enough for me, or you're not left enough for me, so I can't sit with you in this concert. We just enjoyed that. Just people enjoyed being out with their fellow citizen, listening to music, enjoying being entertained. Like, I use wrestling. I love wrestling. That is like my go-to. Everything goes back to wrestling because it does. So this is where I have the issue with the politics, and we're going to go back to Alberta politics. I believe it's October 23rd now, but those same people have been out since May. Anyway, whatever. They don't work, whatever. But everyone's all looking forward to Nenshi getting in there to have a debate with Smith. Like, it's not a debate. They're not debating anything. What the hell are they debating? We know that the UCP has a majority government, and they can just vote anything in, whatever the hell they want. No matter what the citizens want, that's what they're going to vote in. And then she's just going to come in and he's going to babble on about something and, oh, blah, 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 left, blah, 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 yay, capitalism. Both sides. They all want capitalism. They don't give a rat's ass about you. Honestly, if you were unemployed today, they wouldn't care. They'd make it hard for you to get employment, and damn near impossible if you needed to get AISH, but they don't care. They vote for us. That's it. And yeah, we want you to be separate. We want separatism. They don't want separatism. Because if Smith wanted separatism, she would have just fucking pushed through one of the bills. She wants the separatist movement to be a distraction. She wants to be able to play this whole thing of Ottawa is the enemy. Well, Ottawa sure as shit is the enemy, but so is Alberta. Government is the enemy. The elitists are the enemy. Corporations are the enemy. Like, how can anyone justify the merger between Rogers and Shaw? This whole thing of, well, we can't have monopolies. Well, I guess we can if it's Rogers. So Rogers has the East, comes in, buys the West. Oh, don't worry, it's going to be Shaw, it's all good, jacks up our rates, treats us like shit, provides us terrible service, takes channels away, gives channels, whatever, and you still need them. Like, you don't need the channels per se, but you need them for high-speed internet, and you just go for the high-speed internet, it's going to pay a fortune. So we get the channels because, well, I want to watch the occasional Oiler game, or I want to watch something, but Rogers charges me to the fucking nose. Doesn't matter, there's no regulation on it. We've got power that is through the frickin' nose here. Like, if Danielle Smith actually cared about citizens, she would have regulated the energy. They don't care. They care about filling their fucking pockets. That's it. That's it. That's all they care about. And the same thing with the feds, same thing with Carney, same thing with the NDP. They just care about filling their pockets. So that's why I'm a strong believer of a UBI, or what I would rather have is a guaranteed living wage. So everyone gets paid a living wage. Your necessities are covered. This whole gouging for rentals and whatever, this needs to stop. Like, it's not because it's not because homeowners are gouging. Yes, there are the few that are gouging, but it's the corporations. Like, we'll give you a secret here and probably get shut down on one of the streams for doing this. Rumble will probably still be free because it's free speech. Everyone knows. But there's a company called BlackRock and a company called Vanguard, and they run the world. Like everything that has money involved in it is through these two companies. And they just keep gouging. And they just keep buying and monopolizing. And, oh, we split this and we're going to sell this so we don't have a monopoly. But really, it's still under this. I mean, someone joked about it that we're going to have like the corporation of Disney. And Disney's going to own everything. Well, they already do. But they own it in different sectors, so it doesn't look like they own everything. It's like this whole thing of like 8 companies own the world. Well, 2 companies profit and fund the world, and then those 8 companies that are subsidiaries of either one. And if everyone says, oh, you're just crazy, you're just conspiracy theorists, what did all the money from the Ukraine relief go to? It went to a fund run by BlackRock. BlackRock is in the Ukraine. They've got BlackRock running their finance. What did BlackRock do the last few years? BlackRock opened up locations in China, in India. What's the biggest threat right now? China and India. But it's a threat to the U.S. empire. It's not a threat to BlackRock because BlackRock's got money there. So they're fine. So that's why, like, when people say, oh, I wish the hackers would do something, I wish the hackers would hack into those systems and blow them up and just make them all zero it out. Because any of these wealthy bastards that are billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, and there are trillionaires already. I'm sure you guys know about Saudi Arabia. But if you want to really level the playing field, that's how it's done. Is someone goes and makes sure that BlackRock and Vanguard don't have any funds anymore. Easy peasy. Anyhow, sorry, went on a little bit of a tangent there, but it's this whole thing of this corporate ideal of worshiping celebrity, worshiping corporations. And they're just turning us against each other. It makes no sense. That other than it's a distraction, right? So Charlie Kirk's murder was a distraction. The Epstein files are something that need to come out. There are a lot of victims, and both sides of the table are guilty. There is a whole pedophile ring somewhere in the world that are all connected, and so no one wants that information to get out because it's all the people with the money, all the people with the power. So they'll distract you with this and distract you with that. Oh, we have to up our security, and that's the other piece of the puzzle, right? So the murder of Charlie Kirk will cause more security, more police state. Just like January 6th, just like 9/11, just like George Floyd, it all comes back to control. Power and control. That's all they want. But they're not realizing that we have the numbers. But we have to find a way to come together. So if it's a come together that none of us want violence and we don't want to see people being murdered anymore, that's great. Like I said, I've got the design at avpoly.ca, hoodies, t-shirts, mugs of violence is never the solution, but often the response, or often the, what the hell is it? It's never the solution, but it's often the response or something like that. Sorry, I apologize. But yeah, so it's like violence is not the solution. The solution is always sitting down and coming up. But our biggest solution is we have to come together. We have to figure out a way to come together. And if I offended you, calling anyone a right-wing religious freedom fighting fuckwaffle or a left-wing nut or whatever, I apologize. If you're elite, I don't apologize. If you're the one who's keeping us down, I don't apologize at all. Just know if you're in Alberta and everything's privatized, the golden hour, if you're in rural Alberta and you got the golden hour and you have no hospital, you're going to die. If the hospitals are overflowing, you're going to die. So unless you have a doctor in your house or you have a helicopter on speed dial, wherever you are, you can just get in a helicopter and fly to wherever. That's a golden hour. So all those that are supporting the privatization of healthcare and the privatization of schooling, that's just a way to make people dumber and a way to basically brainwash people and to ensure that corporations profit. Private healthcare doesn't work. Look at the United States. It's a disaster. And that's what people want for healthcare. This is why I don't understand, oh, we want to be the 51st state and whatever. No, that's not a good idea. Grass looks really green over there because they use paint and it's not real. Like, you're being sold the Hollywood version of the U.S. You're not being sold the real U.S. of what it means. If we became the 51st state, we'd have no water because they take all the water from Alberta and all the resources from Alberta and take it away. And we would just be sitting in the desert. But if we could come together and realize that united we stand, and we stand as working class in a working class movement. So when you're frustrated at teachers, you're frustrated at nurses or doctors or whatever, but we stand with them to ensure that we have proper health care and proper education for our kids. The government doesn't have a choice, because when they're outnumbered, they realize they're outnumbered and the distraction can't work. If we all come together as one and demand a new way, it would work. But we all have to come together. See, the whole thing is right now, there's too many things, especially on the left. There's way too much splintering. That's one thing I'll say about any of you from the right. You guys got it well about coming together. Now, I don't agree with you coming together under racism or bigotry or homophobia or any of those sort of things. That's a no-go for me. But if you're coming together under we don't like to be controlled or those things, yeah, you're going to have a lot more people. But we have to respect our citizens. Like, don't worry about if someone's gay or trans or they're black, brown, or indigenous or white or whatever. Like, we just have to come together. That shit is just, we're all a little bit of a history lesson that they won't tell you anymore because they keep rewriting the history. But we all originated in Ethiopia. So ultimately, all of us started in Africa. But because of pigmentation and where people live and all those sorts of things, the melanin is different in the bodies, right? But we're all like life started in Ethiopia. So when we say, oh, we don't like the Africans or whatever, we are. I'm not saying, hey, we're African and we should have right or whatever, unless we can get to the point where everyone's got equity and not equality, because equality, you can't have equality, because people like even myself would start at a higher level than those in the black, brown, and indigenous population, just based on having white privilege. So if we go to an equity place as opposed to equality, I think we would do a lot better in the world. But I've ranted enough tonight. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Apologize if I went off on that, but it's please prayers to the Bird family, and hope for Samuel to be returned to his mother, and prayers to the Wells family as they go into a full year of the loss of Jon being murdered unarmed by Calgary Police Service that still hasn't been looked at or investigated properly or finished the investigation. And of course, everyone say prayers to Erica and the kids. I mean, you don't wish anyone to have to raise their children without a husband or a father. Yeah, like let's and prayers to any of you that need it. Like I said, love and strength to everyone. Let's come together. Let's stop with the hate. And if we're going to hate something, let's just hate the elite. Hate the robber barons. I think we all can agree that robber barons are awful, and people that profit off of exploitation are awful. Even if it doesn't affect you directly, it will affect you down the line, and it's an awful way to live. We need to take care of everyone and take care of ourselves. I mean, shit, there's only one life we have, and we got to get out of this dystopian society and figure things out. And murdering each other is not the answer. Violence is never the solution, but it's often the answer. There's the quote, and there's the T-shirt, and all that other shit. But yeah, so you can get that. You can get the Indigenous Sovereignty supersedes separatism. You can get the Chapel Roan, Saskatchewan stuff. We've got a new design from Angry Indigenous Woman to go with your wardrobe. So that's fun there. And if you have any design ideas, shoot them our way. Let's see if you want to collaborate on something. Let's do it. This isn't about being right or left. This isn't about being I'm with Canada, I'm with Alberta. Which brings me to the final point. For those wondering about the Forever Canadian campaign and Thomas O'Kasich, yes, there's grifting going on. I'm a signee, registered signature or whatever, but the grift is not based on the actual signing of the documents. That's not where the grift is. Just what Thomas is doing and what they're doing from the Edmonton-centric sort of thing. But this you need to realize, and I think the branding and the idea was just that us versus them crap. If you actually care about leaving Canada, you want to go and be sovereign nation of Alberta, you have to sign this document. This document is, the signature is stating that you would like the question, should Alberta stay in Canada, be used for a referendum. You're not signing to say, should Alberta stay in Canada. You're saying that this question, if a referendum is called, this question should be approved. That's all you're saying. So when you look at it that way, you're signing yes, so you can vote no. And then we can figure out who wants to separate, who doesn't. If there's a majority there, then we have those conversations. If it's a low number, then we have different conversations. But we got to figure out a way to just get this done. So you got till October 28th to sign the Forever Canadian campaign. So left, right, want to stay in Canada, don't want to stay in Canada, you all need to sign this document because it's the only one available. Thanks again for watching. Take care.
This has been Allegedly in Alberta. Authorized by Alberta Accountability Alliance, abpolica@gmail.com.